Hey everybody, going live here, Matt Deutschman. I'm about to be joined by my guest Indra Singh, who has written a book called My Best Friend's a Superhero. I am gonna invite her right now. So as Indra waits to join me, I'm just gonna give a little bit of background. Here we go.
Oh, it worked! Yeah! Hi, Matt.
How are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. I'm good. You know, I've never done one. I've never done a live with somebody else, so I thought, oh, I hope it
Oh,
works.
nice and easy. Well, I was about to, just in case there was like a couple second delay before you joined, I was gonna read the blurb on the back of your book, which I've
Oh,
purchased, and I'm gonna read with my kids. So I'll kick it off by just reading that if you don't mind, and then we'll get
please
into
do.
talking with you
Go ahead.
about your story. All right, so here we go. She was different. She always knew she was. Sometimes it was hard for her to believe she was living amongst such strange humans here on planet Earth. Until one day she met a confident, blue-booted, wild-haired stranger who took her breath away. Was the stranger from the stars? Are you someone who is waiting for the magic, for someone to come into your life to save you from the things that are getting you down? Maybe you just need to change your mindset and create your own magic. Self-love starts with you, and the sooner you realize it, the better. We all have an undiscovered country within us. What's yours?
I wish
And
you'd
that
done my.
is
I
the...
wish you'd done my Audible now.
Did you do it?
You'd
Is
be
it
the
available
first
on
one.
audiobook? Or is it available on audiobook for real?
It will be in the next few weeks. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
I,
great.
I did it
Well, well,
a few weeks ago. Well, it will be a few months ago now. So yes, it will be available very soon. So
that's awesome. Well, that's the back blurb to entice us all to open the cover and dig into the meat of My Best Friend's a Superhero. So first of all, you got it too. So first off, congratulations. This is a relatively new release for you, right? Just the last couple of
yeah,
months.
yeah. It was November. Was it? No, I think it was around November time. I mean,
Oh
it's
no,
all
okay.
like so much has happened since then. It's like yeah, November. But we're into sort of 2022, and I'm ready for another one.
Right. So let's talk about how you got the inspiration for this book. I mean, I love obviously just from what we can gather from the back, and I love the message behind it. About self-love and building confidence, and kind of using. We all have an undiscovered country within us, so obviously that's kind of using our imagination, which is a key
Absolutely.
theme of a lot of my books also. So love what it's all about. Can you give us like a kind of some background and how you got inspired and what the story is about and how you got inspired to write it?
Well, of course, it was about me, and it was as a child. I mean, it's quite sad to say this here with a smile on my face, but I was quite a sad, lonely child. You know, I was one of these kids that was very much on my own, um, and sort of went into my imagination a lot. And I know a lot of adults of my age will relate to that. You know,
Mhm.
kind of brought up in the 80s, and it wasn't an easy time. You know, I certainly didn't find it easy, and I think life's very different now in very, very many different ways, you know, positive and negative. But to me, it was all about finding that creativity within me as a child and being able to use my imagination in a way that
Mm.
I could express myself from outside the box. But again, it wasn't easy. So my encouragement for kids in the book was to allow themselves to be outside the box, allow
Mhm.
themselves to be who they truly were, you know, to have the courage, to have the trust, to have the communication, to have, you know, to be inspired, to be able to be who they truly are. And that's what I've been doing when I've been doing workshops with it, is allowing the kids to
Mm.
really look at who they are. And I can tell
Love
you
it.
what, Matt, it's not easy, as you probably know. When you get a lot of children together, they're kind of like, who am I, you know?
Yeah. Well, so what age group would you say the book is targeted toward?
Well, it's funny because I've had a lot of adults buy it for themselves, you know? It's
Mm.
really strange because I didn't expect that. But if I was going to put an age on it, I'd say it's about 7 to 11. You know,
Okay.
that's the
So
age group, because to me, that was always the age group that that always seems to be sort of left out, you know, that sort of mid-year group where you know, I mean, going into secondary school in the UK, that's sort of 11-year-olds where you're not a baby yet, you're still not, you know, an adult, and you're kind of like, who am I? I know I'm saying that a lot.
Right, you're not right. You're not the novelty of, you know, being a little kid has kind of worn off, but you're not quite a teenager with, you know, aspirations toward adulthood yet. So
Absolutely, yeah.
I can see that. And you say you've been doing workshops. What kind of workshops have you been doing?
Well, I've been going into schools and working. Okay. Well, a couple of schools that I've been into, I've had quite a large group of kids. So I'm talking about 93 children in one go, which was quite a lot to deal with, but really good, you know. And I really enjoyed, you know, sharing the book, you know. And quite a few of the children had bought it already, so they'd worked through it. And as you know, it's an activity book as well, and there's a reason behind that. Really, go on. I'll let you say.
Yeah, well, I love that. I mean, this is it's an interactive experience. It's not just a you know, a passive. You know, not that there's anything wrong, certainly, with reading books for passive entertainment and passive kind of imagination, because that's, you know, something that we all do on a regular basis also. But this is very much I mean, even in the introduction, there's already our first activity page here, right? Which is kind of a self-affirmation, looking in the mirror and affirming what makes us all special and wonderful. That's within us all, you know, regardless of anything else going on. And then there are some writing assignments. There are writing assignments of exploring your favorite color and what that means to you, and a few other things also. But you know, I think that's a really cool and unique aspect to this book. So, you know, what's the story behind that, and how have you seen that play out with some of your readers and some of your participants in these workshops?
Yeah, I've got to give a big shout out to Monica, because as the illustrator, she was matched up with me so well, and she might be on here now, but I mean, I didn't have to say much to Monica to get her to get my mind. I could say what I wanted, and she just was able to draw it. And it's like, wow, she's done what's in here. That's really strange. But she did great. And really, what was behind the activities is because we have to, you know, we have to be able to put it down. And to me, it was all about, okay, we can talk about it, but let's look at how we can either draw it or we can write it and see what it looks like for us, so that we can work with it and go back to it, cross it out. And I wanted the book to be something where kids could mess in it. I didn't want it to be a tidy book. It's not meant to be the book just to put on your shelf. It's meant to be played with and drawn on, and, you know, use felt tip pens and go for it, you know. And to me, it was really about looking at that and writing down, you know, my favorite color, and then maybe in a few weeks' time that changes, and why would that change, and what was my emotion that came with that, why did that change, and what did that look like, and why is this color, and why, you know, is that color, because I'm a color therapist as well, so I've worked a lot with color, and through being a yoga teacher, you know, we work a lot through the chakra system and the energy centers, and there's always color around, you know. We don't take it for what it really is. You know, it really is something that affects our lives in a big way. And I wanted kids to be able to see that, you know, it's why am I attracted to that color, you know, and look at it, explore it. Don't just wonder, you know. So
absolutely. Well, yeah.
There's a lot of that in the book, you know, just about checking out who I really am, you know, going a bit deeper.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said, that the book's not supposed to be like a neat book. You wanted it to be kind of a messy book, and I think it's, you know, it's a parallel to life, right? It's not so neat and clean, and, you know, it's something that you kind of mess up and you start over, and you mess up and you find a different path, and you just go in a couple different directions, and yeah, and so I mean, and color therapy. This will be the second time, oddly enough, that on these author talks, I will reference this Pantone book that I have behind me. Because in my other career here, my promotional marketing business, we deal with logos and marketing products and put logos on merchandise for clients of ours. And so we're talking all the time with our clients of what their, branding colors are all about and the essence of their brand that's talked about through their colors. So there's a lot of parallels, I think, to that, and to, this is all about emotional psychology, right? So
absolutely, yeah,
the
absolutely.
connections that we make to certain colors in our minds and in our hearts also connect us to brands and connect us to to anything that we kind of come across. So there's definite parallels there, and to illustration as
It's
well.
so important. It's just such an important thing, color, and we take it for granted because it's around us all the time. And I live in a house that's rented that's got plain walls, and I can't stand it because I just love to put color on my walls, because the difference between having white walls and then adding color is just affects my mood, hugely. So I would love to be able to do that, just put color on my walls, because I know how it changes my being. So we should be exploring these things. They're things we can go deeper with, in life. It's personal to all of us. So yeah, that was what was behind the activities, just to go deep and look at yourself, rather than it's not a bedtime story. Let's just say, you can read it in bed, but it's not one of those things, you would read in bed, because it kind of gets the mind going. It's one of those things. It's an activity. It's like, apart from there is a meditation in there. Yeah.
It's a wake-up story more so than a bedtime story. So
yeah, absolutely. And like I said, the meditation connects. There's also a free download of the meditation of me actually speaking it on my website, and that's all about opening the heart energy, and being able to open your heart, and mainly for yourself, connection with yourself. Because if we don't love this, then we can't love what's outside of us, and what's around us.
Absolutely. Well, and we talked about color and talked about illustration, and this, just to give some examples. I mean, these beautiful, colorful illustrations. I think your illustrator Monica, like you said, it was very seamless, kind of working together, and her being able to capture what was in your mind. And I think that's important as a writer. I think that's important. I mean, this is just gorgeous.
Oh yeah, it's great. I mean, I got some stickers made as well to give to the children, just to hand out, and I picked some of my favorite images, because they look good on the stickers, and they look great, really, really good. Like the one with the twisty eyes, she's got spiral eyes. There's one image where she's got really spirally eyes. It's just great, great fun. And she did so well with the color. I don't know if she's on here now. She could be, but I know Linda's on, but she could be. She could be listening.
How did you get connected with Monica, and how did you first kind of begin collaborating together?
Through Oxygen, through Carolyn, and through Steve, and through Linda. They connected me with her, and they connected me really, well. I mean, they got me. I don't know who it was exactly, who was the culprit, but it was probably Linda.
Yeah, there she is. And for those watching or listening who aren't aware, Oxygen is Oxygen Publishing, which is the publishing company that Indra and I both have used for our books. So fantastic at connecting writers with any resources that they need for getting our work out.
Absolutely, it's really, really good.
So what's next for you? Do you have other books in mind? Is this the first of many? What's the plan going forward?
That's a good question. I mean, I wrote this one with no thought of doing a sequel. I just kind of wanted to do a book, and I knew how I wanted it to be. I'd always had an idea of doing something. When I met Carolyn, I had a totally different idea. And then all of a sudden it changed and shifted within it was during the COVID time that I don't know if we speak that word here, but it was during that time, that during lockdown, that I actually thought, well, I've got no excuse now. And I just did it, because there was no excuse. So now it's really just a case of being with what is right now. I'm very much into just being open to see what happens. I've got a lot of other stuff going on in my life that I'm putting a lot more energy into, but my imagination is always going what I'm going to do next and what's going to happen and how I'm going to write. And maybe I'll do a teenage book next. That's kind of something that I wouldn't mind. You know, the teenagers need some love.
Absolutely. Well, and that's actually an interesting segue. Something I wanted to ask you. Most of the authors that I've talked with on these author talks have a similar target audience, like myself. My book, which both the two books that I've written are up here. My first was When You Hear the Thunder Rumble.
Yeah.
Second is When You Think a Monster's Lurking, and my third will be released this summer. It's called When You Try a Food That's Icky, and these are all targeted. These are all targeted at the 0 to 6 age range. So, you know, just before the 7 to 11, like yours. So how did you decide? I know, you know, how you decided on the age range, because this is your story, like you said. The fact that it's a chapter book. You're the first author I've spoken with on these author talks that has written a chapter book. How did you come to that decision to make this chapter book? And, you know, what would you say to anyone else who's you know, maybe considering going that route, or who has written children's books in the past, in more of the 0 to 6 range like mine, and then are thinking of kind of embarking on a chapter book? What are some good tips that you've learned?
I'll just be straight. I've got too much to say. And that was basically it when we were going through it, and certainly Linda can vouch for that as well. I could not stop, and when there comes a point where you just kind of you just keep going, and you're just thinking, oh, but I need to add that bit, and that bit's really good, and if I cut that bit out, then that's not going to work. And so I think really my advice is just to write the book and do it, and then your creativity is flowing. Because if you're, you know, your first draft, you just let it go, don't you? You just absolutely just flow with it, and then you work through it from there with your storyboard, and it's then you can start to juggle things around. But I think you just have to let it all out and see where it goes, and not worry about anything else, and go for it. But yeah, mine was actually a lot longer than I ever imagined it would be. But then kind of that's my personality, really. I'm just that's just who I am, and I'm really not surprised.
I think what I take out of that, though, which I think is a really good bit of wisdom, is like, just write the story that needs to be written. Don't worry about anything else. First write the story that needs to be written, and then, you know, and then kind of like craft it from there to like then figure out who it's really aimed at, and, you know, how it needs to be packaged or whatnot. But if that's the story that needs to be out there, then, you know, totally. The style or genre will kind of follow from there.
Absolutely, because otherwise you're just restricting yourself, and you know, it's to me that's makes, you know, your creativity suffers then if you do that. So yeah, just write it, get it out, write it, and see what happens.
Love it. Well, where can we find your work? What's the best way? What's your website, or any other way to follow you and be in touch?
www.indrasingh.com. So really easy. It's just my name.com. That's where all my interviews are and where the book is. And then in a few months' time, well, it should be less than 2 months' time now. It should be a month's time. It will be out on Audible, and it is read by yours truly. So I've done it myself because I wanted to do it myself, because I felt it was my book, so I'm going to read it. But now I've heard you, Matt, I'm thinking maybe you should have done it.
Well, it's your book. It's your story about you. It was destined for you to be the one sharing it.
Yeah, it wouldn't have felt right otherwise. I had to do it myself. Maybe I'm too much of a control freak. I don't know, but anyway, it's going to be out, and that was fun, and that was an experience in itself. You know, doing it on Audible was something else. You know, it was like, wow, this is, you know, so strange to actually have to read it. You know, I've got to read my book. So yeah, indrasingh.com, it's there, and obviously via Amazon. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was great. We hadn't met previously, but, you know, we just exchanged emails, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for being part of it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, anyone who's watching, like you heard, indrasingh.com. Check it out. The book, again, My Best Friend's a Superhero. it's more than just a book. It's a whole immersive experience, and it's an active experience with lots of other activities to do within the book, and really like thought exercises also. So it's a really interesting thing to check out. And my name, if you don't know me, if you're here checking out Indra, I'm Matt Deutschman. My books, like I showed before, When You Hear the Thunder Rumble, When You Think a Monster's Lurking. These are books that are aimed. My kids are. My daughter turns 4 on Monday. My son just turned 6, and these books were aimed really at their age group, and they're my target market, my focus group, my biggest fans, my most honest critics also. So these are books that are aimed at just helping kids through normal childhood fears and concerns. So first one is anytime there's a thunderstorm, we tell some nice little rhymes to help calm the kids' nerves during thunderstorms. And then the monsters, my illustrator, Katie, who also did a phenomenal job of just taking things out of my brain and out of my vision and putting it on paper. She decided that it would be a great idea to personify the fears that I was talking about in the book. And the fears are shadows, darkness, and kind of weird noises around the house. So we personified those with different ways of using your imagination to overcome it. So feel free to check those out. mattdeutschman.com is my website. And book number 3, all about trying new healthy foods. When you try a food that's icky, will be following this summer. And I'm taking a page out of the proverbial Indra Singh book. That my 3rd book is more than just a book. Also, there's going to be a song included in it, and some cooking recipes, and just a lot of other activities that go along with it. So fun stuff. I think we're very like-minded in that respect.
That's great. Love it.
So yeah, thank you. Love everything that your book is all about. Everything that you shared, and thanks again for joining me.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.